Welcome to Play on Tabletop. I'm Nicholas, and I'm here with local favorite Findlay Craig and his amazing Imperial Guard army. Findlay, thanks you so much for coming down and bringing a lot of boxes. When I saw you coming out of your car and you're just like bringing box after box after box, it was like, is that all your army? It's like, no, that's just half of it.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of packing to get it all here today.
I think it took us like 45 minutes just to lay it all down. You have done an incredible job here. You've painted all this yourself?
Yep, this is 100% all me. Nobody else has contributed even to like undercoat or priming. This is all built, painted by me.
You have been on our channel before. You were here on Apocalypse game.
Yep.
We played against each other.
Yep.
It was a close game. It was a lot of fun.
And I shot down your gigantic flying spaceship with a las gun.
It was a ton of fun. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. It's a really great Apocalypse game. You showed off some of these units here, but you have brought so much more here that I've never seen before. Like, for instance, what is this?
That is my command Leviathan. So it is a gigantic rolling death cathedral, which is fantastically grimdark. That is the command vehicle for all of this. And in my head, all I see on the inside of this is there's this amazing piece of 40K artwork where they've got this big hololithic projection of the battlefield and all these guys with like big coats and big swords like staring over it, and like cherubim and like servo skulls like floating above them in the dark, and like that's just what I picture inside that every time I look at it.
It's so cool. How many points do you think is here?
I think it's about 13,000 points right now. So I counted a little while ago and it was 12,000, and I painted a little bit more since then.
And how long is this project been going on for?
About 8 years, off and on, I think. So the amusing story is that this army started with the aim of learning to weather vehicles, and I said I got like one like army storage box, and I said I'm going to paint 1,500 points so I can learn this, and I'm going to put it in this box, and that's going to be it, and then I'm going to move on to something else.
And how big was this box?
I still have it, but it doesn't hold the whole thing anymore.
It holds maybe like 1/20th of this.
Yeah, and then it just sort of spiraled out of control a little bit. But you know what it's like with an army. Like once the idea bites you, you get into it, and then there's something else that comes up, and then you start building these other ideas in your head of like, wouldn't it be cool if? And then suddenly there's planes, and there's heavy weapons teams in the buildings, and there's snipers crawling into nukes, and there's even more tanks.
Because you're a bit of a treadhead, I would think.
Yes, I may have a treadhead problem at this point.
And there's a little bit of a theme going on here. A Scottish flag?
Yep, so the infantry are all wearing kilts, and this is the 7th Armoured Brigade, the Imperial Scots Guard, and I've forgotten the dog Latin for that off the top of my head. It's something like Scotum Imperium Guardum.
That works.
Where the idea came from was I was browsing around online, and I found these really old pictures from, I think, like the late 19th century, and it was a Scottish regiment in North Africa, and they wore what was called an apron over their kilt to protect it, and it had this like very sort of plain color, which is kind of what the kilts look like down there. And I just got this bug in my head of trying to put together a Scottish desert themed army, and the whole, that like literally that one photograph was kind of the seed for all of this. It's
beautiful. You've done an amazing job. I love the color scheme. I love how cohesive it is across the entire force. And I love all the little conversions you have. Like, okay, so we've got like emu riders, like I'm guessing rough riders.
I like death ostriches myself.
Death ostriches, yes! And the aforementioned kilted guards. Are these Tanith?
I know, so those were, back in I think 6th edition, Guard had this kind of weird thing where like you had, the way the infantry worked, you had to take certain numbers, so what pretty much everyone had was like 1 veteran squad and 2 guard squad, because that was kind of the minimum you could get away with for troops if you wanted to run like a really vehicle heavy army. So those were actually my veteran squad.
Would it be fair to say that you've been in 40K for a while?
Little while.
Did you, like, are you one of the original to start with like Rogue Trader back in the day, like when it first started?
Close. I did start with the second edition box set. I think I was bought that on like my 9th or 10th birthday.
When was that? Like 80s, 90s?
That would have been around about 1995. But yeah, though that's where I started, and over the years, like I had like a little orc army, a little eldar army, and then I had a guard army, and gradually like it cycled up to the point where I wanted to tackle like a big project. A lot of like the armies you paint when you're starting out, like you're learning, so they change quite a lot, like because you learn a lot really quickly. And I wanted to have something that was like, okay, this is all looks the same. It's to the same sort of rough standard, you know?
So take me back and start, like why did you get involved in 40K? Like what like really kind of like inspired you to start this game?
Honestly, the first thing was like before I started playing 40K, I was standard kind of thing that kids did it when they're younger, airfix kits, model planes. And so from there was this kind of like progression of like, okay, well this is I get to build models, but I get to actually play with them as well. Honestly, the biggest theme through all of that, it wasn't about the game, it was about the fact that I got to go and play this game with my friends. We got together to play Necromunda. Like we were teenagers, we were broke. Necromunda was like the cheapest game to play back in the day because you needed like 12 models. But it was always, I got to come and play it with my friends, and then really like there's so much in the game, it starts to just absorb you. Like you learn things and you start getting kind of sucked into and invested in what you're doing, invested in your army and the story and being part of this like enormous universe that you're fighting across.
I bet you've seen 40K change a lot throughout the years.
It's not even the same game. Not to say it's bad at all, but yeah, like the game now is structured so differently. It's interesting though, because like things fall out of fashion and then they come back. Like AP values.
Oh yeah.
That was part of second edition. Like what's your armor modifier? Oh, I don't get a save. So like I still remember like all my Gretchen running around getting gunned down by Space Marines because they got no save. But the stratagems and the way the game is scored, completely different, and I have to say a bit better actually.
Something cool that's coming up, at least when we recorded this, is that you're actually hosting a local charity tournament that you've hosted for a number of years now. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it is called Tosha Cabers.
What's a caber?
A caber is a tree. So in Scotland there are what are called Highland Games, and one of the events is literally somebody runs around throwing a tree. Without the branches on it, but that is the game, is how far can you throw a tree. So back in 2014, I hadn't run an event before and wanted to kind of dabble in it and see how it went. So the idea of Tosha Cabers, the name was thrown around because I'm from Scotland and it worked. And from there it has grown. So I think we started with 17 players on a wet Saturday in January, and that was in 2014, and next weekend we will have 48 40K players, 16 Marvel Crisis Protocol players, and 24 Middle-earth strategy battle game players. And the best part of it is not just that they're coming out to have fun, but that we are raising money that we put towards local charities. We focus on ones that work with homeless people and like vulnerable adults. And over the last few years, in addition to all of like the physical stuff like clothing, socks, underwear, feminine hygiene products, because like those last three things, those are the things they don't have a lot of in homeless shelters, or they're hard to keep in. We have also donated over $16,000 to that.
That's fantastic.
And I want to say, like, I may be the person who organizes the background, but it is the community who shows up and does it. Like, they're the people who make it happen.
I really feel fortunate for where we live in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver, BC, Canada, that we have a lot of really cool players, and the community is really awesome. We've had a number of like charity tournaments. Like we used to have Food Hammer with Chris Jones running it, and Tasha Cabers yourself. And to see the community rally together, support the tournament, donate prizes, paint things for it, be a part of it, it's really cool.
It's remarkable. Like, people show up and people message me saying, hey, what can I do to help? So this year with COVID, we're obviously having a lot of extra stuff that we have to deal with. and we normally have a prize pool, and that's part of where a lot of our funds are raised from. But this year we don't have that because I was worried about international shipping and were we even going to be able to put the event on?
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of worries about that.
And so many local companies like First Fish Games and a whole slew of local game stores, like I'm just going to name a few, hopefully Strategies, The Connection, Caliban Designs. They all came together and went, we know there's not a whole lot, we're going to make sure this, Imperial Hobbies, they all said, here's stuff we're going to put on the table for you. And there's a lot more I honestly just can't remember off the top of my head. We couldn't do it without the local community. These guys are the best.
That's fantastic. I've always enjoyed playing in the charity tournaments more than any other tournaments because you tend to have a different kind of player that goes though. It tends to be the armies and the players that are not so necessarily focused on hyper-competitive winning, but having a good game, and you get some really amazing armies. Usually you have some really cool stories to come from them.
One of the other things that is really important for me is we actually score it differently than most other events.
That's true.
So normally, so up in Vancouver at least, we have what we call best overall in the tournament, which is the sum of like your sportsmanship, your painting, and your general points. And generally speaking, a lot of tournaments will like weight towards the game winning, which is absolutely fine. You're there to play competitively.
Oh yeah.
But the way that we weight it is they're all even.
Yeah.
So you have to be a good person. Like people have to enjoy playing against you.
Yeah.
We want to see you really enjoying and putting effort into your army and valuing that, and we also want to see you playing well. So it fosters a different environment when people know that they can't just show up, break face, and walk away with the prize.
Yeah. So like if you're interested in getting into local tournaments and wherever you live, a good idea is to see if there's any charity tournaments happening near you, because that's a great place to start. A little bit less pressure. Okay, let's get into this army because, oh, is it cool? Oh man, there's so many things. I have so many questions about what's here. So why don't is there anything do you have a favorite miniature here?
No. There's too many, there's so many awesome stories behind so many of them, it's really difficult to pick out one.
Pick out two. Tell me two stories from this army.
The first one is right in the center of the board here, we have the Arcurian pattern Stormblade. It's my favorite because when I got it, the guy I got it from sold it to me for very little because it had been eaten by a puppy.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So like chewed on, multiple parts?
Like literally the whole end of the barrel.
Pick it up?
Yeah, go for it. Had actually been eaten off. So this vent, if you look carefully, so if you look right on the end,
I can barely tell.
That vent is a cast of that side. This whole side has been built up and repaired. The back of it was built up and repaired.
So you put a lot of green stuff on there.
A lot of green stuff, a lot of patience, a lot of blue stuff and press molding. But that was an amazing project to restore.
I love that Beyblade.
Yeah. You know what? There's one more I'm going to pull out just because it's really personal, and that is the Space Marine caber tosser down at the front there, who can be a Master of Ordnance or whatever, because he is...
He's the Toss Your Caber.
Toss Your Caber's logo. And it was really awesome to have that commissioned, and we're selling it as part of our fundraising this year. So we have this exclusive mini. So that one means quite a lot.
That's cool. You did a great job painting it too. It looks like it's Dark Angels colors.
Yes, it is.
Is that in honor of Chris Jones?
Yeah.
Which I know was a good friend of yours?
Yeah, it was a bit of a nod to Food Hammer for that one.
Yeah. I can't think of any other way to do it. Go this way and describe what's here, because there's a lot of stuff that I've never seen before.
So there's a lot of tanks.
A lot of tanks. Some very cool tanks. Like, what is this?
So this is a Manticore. This is a conversion kit, which is sold by a company called Models and Minis. I absolutely love this thing. So it basically drops into the Chimera hull. There's a front part.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
And what I love is he actually did a really good job of designing this. So it closes up.
Oh,
I think
so
it looks
cool.
absolutely fantastic.
Oh, cool.
These I love as well.
Are those forward rolled?
They're not. They are actually from Victoria Minis. And actually, I really want to do a bit of a shout out for Victoria because I think she is an awesome person.
I do enjoy her miniatures quite a bit. I've been tempted by a lot of the miniatures on our website before. Okay, so I have to know, what is this? That does not look like an Imperial Guard thing that I've seen before.
That is my Countess Knight.
Okay, so you got a knight.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic because I thought it fitted really well with what I had of like big, blocky, armored all the way around.
All right, so over there we've got some more Lehman Russ tanks. We've got, what are those, breaching drills?
Those are Hades breaching drills.
Forge World model again, I believe,
yeah,
right?
Those are Forge World, and they're super fun because they get to just pop out the ground and they have essentially massive melt-a-gun on the inside. So the idea,
melt something.
Yeah, so the idea is that they'll like blast like a fortification with this melt-a-gun and then like ram in and crush it and grind it up. But these are great fun because they pop out the ground and they are vicious in hand-to-hand. So if your opponent's like, oh, I have this dreadnought, and then you can drop up 2 of these at his back and be like, okay, it's a cute dreadnought.
And then right beside it on the back there, what are those guys over there? Those guys look like they're running with some sort of flail thing.
So one of the things that I love about 40k is the characters. Yeah. Right. So a bit of a longer answer, but you'll notice that like scattered around there's Inquisitors and their retinues. So these are Arcoflagellants, and I got them because I love the like grimdark. Like I love servitors and cherubim and servo skulls. It's all just so over the top and wonderful. But I have like the Inquisitors there, and then down at the front we have Uriah Jacobus.
Oh, beautiful work, dude. Oh, that script is... Wow, is that a transfer? What is that? That
is a transfer.
Well done.
From Forgotten Chapters, who ran a Kickstarter and now has a website.
You gotta tell me about these. Tell me where these are from, because they're amazing.
All right, so these are my Rough Riders. And they are, so the main model there is from a company in Europe called Blightwheel Miniatures, which does just gorgeous sculpts, and they're a little kind of heavily converted. So there's like Victoria Miniatures heads, and there's lots of little PCs. The spears are custom.
Gorgeous.
But you missed my favorite detail, though, Nick.
Is that poop?
Yes.
Where did this flag come from?
That's Victoria Miniatures again. So they come in packs of this flag and that one. Are both from Victoria Minis. They are super challenging to paint. And all the detailing on there, that's transfers from various places. Gorgeous. But I was really lucky because when I created this army, I came up with like their custom flag and all of this, and so I actually managed to recreate it with the transfers I had, which was a lot of fun. It was challenging, but it was a lot of fun to do. Also airbrushing white.
A lot of fun. All right, so and then we've got a whole bunch of what are those things? The little guys over there in core.
Those are Cyclops demolition vehicles.
Yeah.
And they are so fun because they're like little itty bitty baby Lehman Russ. You know, you can actually put those in a Chimera.
I've heard that. Transport them and send them out.
Yep. And I absolutely love the idea of these like roving suicide bombs just like running around. Sadly, with COVID, I haven't been able to use them since I painted them. But apparently they're kind of fun to play with because what you do is you basically just park them somewhere, and then people are like, I'm not going there. And that's it. You just they don't need to do very much. They just get in the way.
And they're really small, so they can take objectives.
Yep, they can, and they can hide behind cover really easily, and they're cute.
Yeah. And we've got a whole bunch of Ogren, Bulgren. We've got a bunch of troops and some heavy weapons here that look like autocannons there.
So autocannons, so all the troops have, and this was like a theme. This wasn't me trying to go for anything that was particularly powerful or anything. So all of the squads have a plasma gun and an autocannon.
And a bagpipe.
And a bagpipe. The sergeants and the commanders all have plasma pistols. That was just kind of the theme. So you see like the sentinels have plasma as well. And honestly, it was kind of an aesthetic choice because I got to paint a nice bright blue pop of contrast.
There you go. And then we've got an actual Baneblade.
Yeah, an actual Baneblade that was not eaten by a puppy.
A whole bunch of Lehman Russes here. We've got some Punishers and Demolishers, and it looks like a Hellhound, a couple Hellhounds, some Chimeras that you've customized some wheels on.
Yep. So these were one of the things. So when I had the concept for the army, one of the things that I had in my head was the idea that it would be like a rapid reaction force. Like it would redeploy really quickly and be self-contained. And I thought the wheeled chimeras, like, they looked cool, and they also looked faster.
They do.
To me.
They do.
So I had this idea of, like, you know, these guys being able to, like, scout forward really quickly in advance of, like, the tanks, and, like, get into position and report back on where all the enemy were. So those, you can get, there's other companies, unfortunately, it's Chapter House Studios went under.
Oh, right.
So that's where those ones are from.
Yeah.
So you can't get those exact ones anymore, but there's 2 or 3 other companies out there, like Models and Minis, that's a really good one as well. I do want to pick out that Lehman Russ, which has kind of a bit of a storied history.
Okay, tell me about the storied history of that Lehman Russ. You're talking about this one right here?
Yep, this guy right here with the little orky bits and stuff on it, on the barrel and on the actual body. So I got that secondhand from a friend. I swapped him a Dark Angels army for some vehicles, and apparently that goes back 20 years. So our friend William Matthews, who comes to all of the local, like, charity events, he remembers when that vehicle was first bought as an Imperial vehicle and then given to another one of his friends who looted it and turned it into an Orc vehicle.
And then you took it and relooted it?
Yeah, who then gave it to someone, gave it to another one of our mutual friends, who then gave it to me, and I reconsecrated it for the Emperor. So that vehicle has served in at least 4 different armies, including being looted by the Orcs, and has now been restored to its proper position in an Imperial Guard army.
That tank has been around the galaxy.
Yes, it has.
Dude, there is so many stories in this. There's so many, like, you can see just all the little things here that you've tried to tell a story with every part of your army, and it's gorgeous. There's so much love here. Thank you so much for bringing this in. Do you have any advice for someone starting Imperial Guard?
Play what you want to actually play, because don't try and play to the edition, play to what you want to play, because then you'll want to paint it, you'll enjoy painting it, and what you enjoy painting with, you're going to enjoy playing with.
Great advice. Thank you so much. Once again, thank you for your army. Thank you for your time. And you're going to say the sign off with me. We're going to do it.
Let's go for it.
Few people have been able to do this right. So it's and until we
see you again.
Until we see you next time.
Until we see you next time.
Play on at the same time. So I'm going to say I'm going to say until we see you next time.
Okay.
Play on.
Okay.
At that camera.
All right.
All right. Until we see you next time. Play on.